Hello everyone, I hope you all are safe and doing well. Welcome back to the Python programming video lecture series. I hope that you must have revised our last lecture, that is lecture number 8, and solved the assignment based on it. Now let us start with our next lecture, that is lecture number 9. So welcome back to the Python programming once again. In our syllabus, we have come so far starting from Introduction to Programming, then Introduction to Python. Then we saw in a last lecture that what are the comments in Python and operators in Python. Now we are moving towards the end of the syllabus. In this lecture, we will see about data types in Python. So let's start with our lecture number 9, that is data types in Python. Now let us first see what are the data types. We have seen earlier that data type means the type of a data that you are going to assign to a particular variable. Either it will be integer, or it will be float, or it will be string, etc. We have also seen about the Boolean values in our earlier lecture. So let us study these data types in detail. There are two types of data types. The first type is primitive data types and the second type is non-primitive data types. Now what do you mean by a primitive data type? Primitive means they are the very basic types of data types. Very simple type of data types. Primitive means basically we can assign only a single value or a single data to one variable. That means we cannot assign more than two values or more than two datas to a single variables. Now let us see the primitive data types. First data type or first primitive data type is numbers. In that number data type, there are two sub data types, that is int and float. The example of int is, suppose a is a variable and I want to assign 5 as a value to a. Then I will write a equal to 5. This means 5 is a value or data that is assigned to a variable a. Note that I have assigned only a single value to a single variable. Since this is a single value or only one value assigned to a single variable, this is called as a primitive data type. Now let us see float. As we have seen earlier, float means decimal points. If we want to assign some decimal number to a given variable, we should use the data type float. Actually, in Python, we do not have to write the type of a data exclusively while we were writing a program. It will dynamically allocate the type of that data, or we can say Python will dynamically allocate a data type to the given variable as soon as we will give some value to it. Hence, we have seen that Python is a dynamic language and it is one of the important and unique characteristics of Python. So, int and float, we do not have to write before a. It will automatically understand that the type of a data that is assigned to the given variable is whether of integer or whether of float. So here you have seen that there are only single values assigned to the given variable. Hence, there are no multiple values assigned to the given variables, or there are no more than one values assigned to the given variable, and hence these numbers along with its subtypes integer and float are the primitive data types. Now the next data type is Boolean, and only two values are there for a Boolean data type, that are true and false. When we assign these two values to the given variables, the type of that variable will be Boolean, and again we don't have to exclusively define this type to a variable. Python will understand as soon as we dynamically declare the value or we dynamically assign the value to the given variable. Then the next data type is string. There are various types of string we can have. Either a string contains all letters or alphabet in capital, or it will contain all letters or alphabet in small, or it will contain all small and capital letters, that is the combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, and that combination can be given in any manner. So this was all about primitive data types. Again, we cannot assign more than two strings to a given variable in our primitive data type. Now let us see the example of this primitive data types in Python's shell. I have already created a Python shell file and given the examples of primitive data types within it. Now, how should I open a Python file? This file is saved on desktop, so I have opened my desktop. Now, I will right click on that file, and here is the option Edit with idle. So I will go to that option and then will click one of this option, that is Edit with idle 3.7 or 3.8 or 64 and 32 bits. If I directly double click that file, the command prompt will open and close as you have seen on the screen. So we cannot have an access to that file. Hence, for opening it file, I have to compulsorily open with idle. That means edit with idles. So I will right click, then edit with idle, and then I will select for me edit with idle 3.7 64 bit. So the file is open now. Now here let us see the primitive data types. Here I have assigned the value 5 to the A and asked the Python what is a type of A. It is giving me class int. Now see, it is saying int is a class because the data types of Python are saved as a class in its inbuilt library. But even though they are defined as a class, basically it is a type of a data of A. Hence, it can be retrieved by giving a type function. So basically it's a data type, but since it is inbuilt, saved as a class, it is showing here as a class. So this is an example of integer. Now let us see the example of float. A is equal to 8.24. I ask the type of A, it is giving me a float since it is a decimal number. Now I have assigned a value as false. I can also assign a value as true to the given variable. In both the cases, you can see the data type is a bool. It is actually a boolean, but it has given it short form. Now I have assigned one string over here to the variable a, and it is showing me its type as str, that is string. Now let us see what are the non-primitive data types in Python. Let us first understand what does it mean by a non-primitive. Non-primitive means it is not the basic one. It is a kind of advanced data types. Means we can assign more than one values to a given variable using this data type. But remember one important thing, that we have to assign more than one values to it, and then only it will declare it as non-primitive data type. If I want to assign just a single value to the given variable, and I have written that value like this and see its data type, then it will show me as a primitive data type only. So remember to give multiple values in a non-primitive data types. There are three types of non-primitive data types. First one is list. Here you can see how the list is created. A equal to 1, 2, 3 or A equal to AA, BB or CC. It is a list of string and it is a list of integer. So list is basically for listing the elements, and it is declared by using square bracket. Now let us see what is tuple. Tuple is very much similar as list and it is declared by using round bracket. Now there is a different data type, non-primitive data type, that is a dictionary. Within dictionary, we have to give the value in the form of key and value. Give the element in the form of key and value. For example, name is a key, whereas ABC is a value. You can write your own name here. In the same way, ID is key, 111 is value, department is a key, and sales is a value. Now let us see the examples of this non-primitive data type. See here, L is made up of 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3 are having the data type as integer, which is a primitive data type. Hence we can say all the non-primitive data types use the data type of their elements as primitive data types. Means non-primitive data types are made up of the values which has a primitive data types. So this is the example of combination of all the primitive data types, that is numbers, string and boolean, and this is the example of list. In the same way, we can define a tuple with round bracket, and as we have seen, this is the example of dictionary which also uses the primitive data types as string, integer, and here I have added one boolean. You can see here that if you want to know the type of this last value, I have written type D, lecture attended. Lecture attended is a key for that value, D is our dictionary, and I want to know its type, that is a boolean. Now let us learn the characteristic of non-primitive data types. Lists are defined by square bracket. Tuples are defined by round bracket and dictionaries are defined by curly brackets, that we have already seen. Now let us see that lists are mutable. What do you mean by mutable? Mutable means once the list is declared, you can still add, modify, delete or update the elements in it. Same is the case with dictionary, but tuples are immutable because you cannot add, delete, modify or update the elements of tuple once they are declared or defined. So this was all about the 9th lecture. Don't forget to solve the assignment based on it. Thank you. Bye bye.